Hello, sports fans. This is George with Custom Type Flies and Guide Service. And we're going to do a tutorial on the Countach Nymph. It's a jig, 60-degree jig. The hook is a 60-degree standard gap Umpqua XT 500. This is an 8. The thread is a Danville Flymaster 70 denier in fluorescent orange. The bead is gold to fit the hook. The tails and legs are Nature Spirit Silly Nymph legs. And the ribbing is this cool stuff that I got from Joanne Fabric. It's Sulky 6007 gold hollow tinsel. That's what it says here on the end. Excuse me. So without further ado, this is what it looks like when it's done. Now to start with, got to get your bead pegged. Excuse me. So I've slipped the bead on already, and I'm going to use a base of 140 denier fluorescent orange. I'm going to run that all the way down to the end and a little bit past. And bring that back up to the front. And this little, like I said, we're going to peg this. So I'm going to take some 0.02 inch lead, and I'm going to peg this up inside the bead. Take some wraps. And then I'm going to put a little whip finish on here. I'm going to paint that head cement. I like Rumpf head cement, but there's a lot of people use Sally Hansen's Hard as Nails. That's pretty good, you know, for fingernail polish lacquer, but I like the Rumpf. I'm going to set that off to cure. And once it's done curing, it's going to look like this. Now I got my, the recipe calls for the 70 denier, but I'm using a 12-aught Semper Fly, which is like 50 denier, somewhere in that general vicinity. I like the Semper Fly thread because it's really strong. I'm going to bring my thread up to this point here where the lead and the body come together, because it's got that little bump there. I'm going to try to fill that bump in. So I just take the end of my Nature Spirit Silly Leg and put that in, and I'm just going to run some big thread loops down to the end and then back up to the front. And I'm going to take the other end and do the same thing. And then at about a shank length, I'm going to trim that off. A little less than, like right where the bead and the hook come together right in there. Okay, now I see that these are standing up and out, so I'll take care of that here in a minute. I've taken some sections off of this rib that I'm going to use, and I tie that in toward me, and then I bring it over to the other side and get it tied in so that it's away from me. And like I said, I'm going to kind of mat those down a little bit. Bring this back up to the bump. All right. Now I got some Nature Spirits squirrel dubbing. And I'm just going to dub that onto the thread. I'm going to get me about a 6-inch noodle or so. Real light little wisps. Don't want anything, you know, real big, thick. That's not quite enough. There we go. And I'm going to turn that in big non-touching wraps till I get back here, and then I'm gonna kind of manipulate the legs so they come out the way I want them. Then I'm going to build a tapered body up towards the front. Put a little more on there. That's the thing with dubbing, less is more. You don't want to put too much on at one time, because it's definitely a lot easier to get it on than it is to get it off. And I'm going to get that up to where it's about, yeah, let's cover that a little better. There we go. Yeah, I like that. All right, now a couple of half hitches. Bring my bobbin cradle over. I'm going to get on it with a pair of hackle pliers. See, there's different types of these standard hackle pliers. There's these with rubber and metal, and then there's these that are just rubber. It's really hard to find these that are just rubber. I use those for wrapping feathers. It's really hard to find those. Used to be that was the standard, but now it's not. Get that underneath. Take a couple turns this way and a couple turns this way. Now, so as not to have to trim more than I have to, I usually take, so this piece of silly legs that I had when I did the back, I'm going to take the same piece and I'm going to trim about 1 3/4 inches or a little less. Then I'm going to fold that in half. Just sit that right down on top. Pinch on both sides and just take a couple of light wraps. So I'm going to make sure I got my leg length right and my leg position right. Once you're happy with that, take a couple of tight wraps and then go ahead for your whip finish. I'm going to use a 5 3 whip finish. I'm going to trim that thread off. And I'm going to look at the top here. And I'll just find the middle. Boink. And there's my legs. Okay, so it looks like this leg is a little longer than the one on the back. So I'm just going to trim that off. And this one's a little longer. So I'm going to trim that off. There you go. I'm going to take some UV resin and put on the top. And I'm going to put those around just like that. Hit it with a light. And there you have it, the Countach Nymph. If you like this tutorial, please like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Where you find this and other tutorials on my website at www.custom-tied.com. That's CUSTOM-TIED.com. Have a splash, don't forget the dash. This is George with Custom Tied Flies and Guide Service. Happy tying.